Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing something that I don't usually cover, which is Arena. Now, Arena is pretty difficult, obviously. You need to have a lot of specific units, but with the introduction of Valara recently, it actually makes another very strong team possible, and I want to share that with you guys, because Valara is a monster. Easily one of the top 5 best units in the game, in my opinion. I think she's freaking insane, right? And we're only just scratching the surface of how good she is. And in anti-air, she makes Arbiter teams actually good again, which is pretty hype. So I want to go over how I'm hitting, decently high in Overlord. I was almost top 300. I was like 377. And then I lost 5 in a row, and it completely ruined my points. I think I might be able to compete for Apex or even just a little bit lower either way. And then I also want to show you guys how on a different account, my other account, how I am able to get to top 50. Now I could push even further, but currently I am trying to just get Apex coins. As you can see, I'm about 1,600 or so away. So I'm trying to farm these up. So I don't actually have a defense team set. And I do not have A3 Lady A or A5 Valara yet, but I'm still competing pretty heavily, and I want to show that one too towards the end of the video. But I know not everyone has Lady A, obviously, because, even I don't have Lady A on my main account. So I'm going to go over the non-Lady A version and then going over to that. Now, to go into this, it's not going to be perfect timings, so don't expect this to be a step-by-step guide. This is mostly a showcase of how strong Valara can be, how I am able to do Arena, and this is more to give you guys a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of help, and if you copy this and it helps, then that's good, but of course, I recommend you guys tweaking your builds and tweaking your timings to suit your account, okay? But for the team, we're doing this. Kratos obviously is the Lord. I think Valara single-handedly makes Kratos a top 3 Lord again. I think he fell off from top 3 for a little bit there. Ingrid obviously is really good. She's not too essential to have at High Awakenings, but mine is A5 because I stoned her a while back, and I don't regret it at all. She's insane. But you mostly want to get that A3. You don't really need that A5. Ymrit doesn't need any Awakenings and can actually be replaced. And then my Valara is A0, and Diao Chen has to be A1. Okay, Ymrit can be replaced with a couple of units. I've heard that Beelzebub might be usable. I've heard that Pelagius might be usable. The thing is, Ymrit is the best option. He boosts damage of your other units, and he does CC, and he does damage himself. Okay? Now, we're going to go into this, and I'm just going to talk about why this works a little bit. Now, the reason why Valara is really good is for a few things. The thing you're going to see immediately when we go in is Valara is 12 cost, right? 12 cost is insane. Arbiter teams in the past were unusable without a cost generating unit because it was impossible to start off with a good, usable, low cost unit. And because Valara came out and is 12 cost with the Moradin bond, and if you don't have Moradin, respectively, what are you doing? You should have gotten him, right? Almost everyone's going to have a 12 cost Valara, at least currently, if you manage to pull Valara. And it makes the beginning of Arena so much better. Now, I don't have her exclusive yet because I had to buy the Ancients to barely squeeze out even getting her in the first place. So I'm going to have to wait until the 28th to get the exclusive. So that's a bit of damage loss there, but she's still going to clear this very well. Then we're going to place Diao Chen, swap her, and we're going to kill the wave. Now, obviously, I will show a Lady A team. I'll hit a Lady A team and show you guys how that goes. But for now, we're going to win some of these rounds. Now, some other things as to why Valara is really good. She increases magic damage dealt, which is literally all of Arbiters. She does, obviously, very good damage. And she does really frequent and really strong slows. Also, she hits outside of her range, which can kill enemies over on the portion where they shouldn't be able to hit. Alright, she is ridiculously strong. Now, for this round 2, the way it's going to work is we're actually going to wait until 2 things. One of them is the hammer has to have 3 charges. If it does not have 3 charges, you are not going to use it on the second round. And the other thing is, even if you get 3 charges, this enemy at the end needs to go into Valara's range, because when we click this Pope Hammer, it's going to stun continuously while doing damage and boosting our unit's damage. So we need it to be in a spot where Valara can still continue to do damage. So what we're going to see is right here, we can click it, and it's going to not only clean up, but it's also going to help Valara finish off the final enemy. They're obviously going to kill it too, but we have the upper hand. Now I'm going to show you guys how I do this sort of thing. I think Mango has a good video out if you want to look at his for the No Lady A version and see how he does things. I know he does Ingrid next, but we're actually going to do Praetus next. But before then, we got to do this wave 3. So what you're going to see is these 3 fishes, or fish enemies, are going to come out. We're not going to ult yet. But what we're going to ult is when the next set of fishes come through. So when 3 of them come out, you're going to wait. And then when the next group comes out, like there, we're going to click the ult. Now you could click the ult a bit earlier, but that's fine. Then we're going to Praetus Hammer just for some extra damage to hopefully increase damage. Now we're also going to place Pope right here, is how I have been doing it. I know there's a lot of different variations you can do, but we're going to place down Pope like that. Okay, now we're going to keep it going. For this round, you're going to struggle a little bit, to be completely honest. This strategy is all about holding on at the early waves against strong Lady A comps and trying to make up later. So here we're going to click Praetus ult. We're going to click the hammer for some extra damage. On high BP, I always struggle to kill this first enemy, so we got to make sure that we are doing as much damage as possible. Luckily, the slows coming up from Valara are very good. We're going to Praetus hammer again, and we're going to clear that. It's not going to be as fast, but that is always a troublesome round. Now, something that I have been doing is I actually haven't been using Valara ult. Now, I've seen people use Valara ult, and it obviously works, but as long as you can clear this early wave, keep in mind you still have Praetus ult if you need. But as long as you can clear this wave, it's actually fine, because we're trying to save Valara ult for a little bit later, and if we ult now, the rage is going to be in a very bad spot. So that's how I have been doing it. Obviously, clicking Praetus ult, hammer for the damage boost, and just to help finish off, and we're going to clear this round. Now, if you are struggling, you can feel free to think about other ways to trigger things, which will be fine. Different placements like Ingrid first obviously work, but for me, this has been the best. Now, when it comes to these really big guys on round 6, they're going to come over to Valara, and we're going to click her ultimate. So we're going to wait a little bit, and then we're going to click the ultimate. We're going to try to clear these guys as much as possible. Luckily, Valara does chain, so even if they go behind her, as long as she's hitting someone, you should be okay. And this has always been a little bit of a sketch round for me, or at least a slow round. But keep in mind, we're going to excel more in the later rounds, so that is a-okay. Now, when this round comes out, I like to click Praetus, just because Praetus A1 comes back so fast. And we actually want Ingrid to keep her overdrive. We don't want her to overdrive yet. Okay, so keep that in mind. And we're going to clear this round completely fine. I mean, we're using a freaking Ingrid Valara Praetus. Like, it is not going to be a struggle. Next, on the next round, we are going to put down Ymrit behind Valara. Ymrit, good CC, good damage, increases other units' damage. Very good unit right there. Ingrid is going to overdrive, which is great. And we don't need to ult with anyone this round, which kind of sounds crazy, but that's the way it is. You can click Praetus ult if you would like. I might just click Praetus ult here because I feel like it. And then we can Praetus hammer at the end, try to finish it off really fast. And you can see that despite Sargak being a monster when it comes to single target, this has always been the rounds that these teams are good at. We're still going to beat them by a decent margin. Now we're going to click our Ymir ult, and we will put the Valara ult just for some extra damage. We're going to hold on to Praetus Hammer as long as you're able to get the CC up. You're not going to leak. And we're going to wait until the last group. We're going to wait for 3 hammer hits, and then we can ult. And we win! That is what I have been doing. Now, I think I can get to Apex with this. And keep in mind that against different BPs, you might need to do different timings, different placements. But for the most part, this has been working beautifully. And I only struggle with 2 things. One thing is very annoyingly Lady Alexandra, which is completely diluting everyone here. As you can see, I am very lucky to not have any Lady Alexandras right there. I mean, there's still a lot of teams that I just showed you guys here. Here you can see a Dallin team. But if I refresh, you're going to see 1 Lady A. Damn, there's not a lot of Lady A's. But if you go over to the other account, you can see that it's all Lady A. So that is what will happen eventually. But for now, just try to avoid Lady A. And the other thing is you might notice 600k. I struggle against 600k high BP teams because it just takes a lot of damage to deal with them. So let me hit this Apex Overlord 620k team. I'll show you guys how that goes, which is not going to be great. And then I'll show you guys how I do the Lady Alexandra team. Just if you're curious, or maybe you have her and you want to see a Lady Alexandra version of this. Of course, we're going to struggle to deal any meaningful damage already. My Valara is A0, so I personally struggle a little bit with damage. And I don't even have her exclusive. So we might not even... we might not even kill this round very fast. You can see, I have to avoid these teams because my account's not strong enough. To put it simply. Right there. We're going to clear it very fast. I always win that round. I don't know why people don't know how to win that round. But we'll see. And then here, you know, weaving in those Praetus hammers with the Praetus ult does end up working pretty well. But we may still leak barely, which does happen. So you can see that I do run into issues with early VP. But it's very easy to counteract by just avoiding people that I know have very high BP. Lose 9 points. I mean, it's okay. But then we go over to a different fight, and I can hit this team. Let's hit the A5, A1 Valara. A1 Valara is a big step up from my team, but this one's using a Mari instead of Ymrit. So you can do Mari instead of Ymrit if you would like. There's a lot of substitution to Ymrit. He's not really that necessary. But of course, the 2 Lords and Valara are, so if you have them. If you don't have them, you're gonna struggle a little bit here. Right there, we're gonna win the round barely. Okay, we win. We actually lose that round. Probably the A1 difference, and also no exclusive. I'll show the builds in a second, but I just want to show one more fight. I've been doing this for a while today, so these fights always take forever. And you'll see that Ingrid does end up beating that round a little bit faster. But the reason why I place Ingrid after Pope is mostly to get her cycle in a good spot. Now, of course, we almost leak there, which is obviously not good. But we stay alive, which is fine. And hopefully we stay alive here too, which we should. And we are at a disadvantage, clearly, as you can see. But either way, I mean, it's been working. Right there. We barely lose, and now is where I usually excel, right here, with that Ingrid overdrive. You can see that Ingrid does not have the overdrive, so obviously she's going to do a lot less damage. We clear that beautifully while keeping some of our ults, do a little bit of damage. It's not as much damage as I would like, but it is still some meaningful damage. Obviously, Praetus ult right there will help clear the big boys, and then the damage comes out big time, and they are probably gonna win, but it was very close. Okay, you could copy the one that they did, you could copy the one I did. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. That is how I set up my team to make it to close to Apex. It's not perfect, but Valara is undeniably insane. Also, the builds that I have, Ingrid, obviously we want to have Infernal Roar. Variant's really bad. I used a variant gem for this, by the way. Either way, we want Infernal Roar with as much attack as possible. I also have a quad chest plate and a quad, very good quad weapon. Obviously, it's PvP, so we need to compete versus other players. Your gear has to be good. That's just the reality, okay? You can't beat a majority of the player base with bad gear. Also, use your Malric gems. They're very good. If you haven't used them, definitely get to farming. They're really, really, really strong. Kratos, same story, as much attack as possible, and we're going for as much damage as possible. Also, something very quickly, Ingrid, try to aim for like 450 attack speed is what the sweet spot for me is. It differs obviously depending on your timings. Valara, we want to go with as much attack as you can. I don't have a ton of good pieces, so I went a little bit on the rage regen route as well. No exclusive. The exclusive is insane for her. It's her best one by far. If you have it, use it. Now, Ymrit, I don't need this because I only ult with him one time, but basically, just go with as much damage as you can. He doesn't do a lot of damage for this. And then for Diao-Chan, we want as much attack as possible. I have Keen Wisdom because I don't have her exclusive. Don't ask. Get the exclusive. That's what you want to run. And now we take it to the whale level. Now, let me just auto fight for you guys. So obviously, Awakenings are decent. They're not that insane for where I am, but obviously having Lady A in the first place is what makes this insane. Now this will eventually become an A3 Lady A, A5 Valara team, because I got a lot of unpolished I can shove into my heroes. But for now, I want to just do it like this. And you're going to notice that we do Valara. First, obviously, Valara, insanely, insanely strong. We're going to do a good amount of damage. And of course, we do lose second round because they put their Lady A first, but that's okay. Something I do need to mention is if you have A3 Lady A, the timings become different. I do not know how the timings are, so you guys will have to figure that out on your own. Here, I end up Lady A ulting immediately, and I'm going to get my ult up for an important round later, and I also clear those guys instantly, which is very, very nice. Here, I do kind of recommend Valara ulting if you would like. I personally don't Valara ult at all, because I like to save it for when it becomes a struggle. Now here we Lady A ult, lightning for extra damage, and then we nuke the hell out of the end. And then, of course, here we Valara ult. I always win this round because no one ever Valara ults because they don't save it. And we might end up actually beating this guy a little bit too fast for me to show the entire clear. Here, you just want a Lady A ult when two of the big guys get in a range. That's kind of how you always want to do it. And then for the last round, Valara will come up partway through. Ingrid overdrives at the end of that. And then we have Kratos ult, which we're going to ult immediately. But of course, it doesn't matter because we win. Okay? I keep saying okay today. But either way, you can see that that works. It does work on people that are like 630k BP. But I do still run into some issues with leaking. Now, I do leak certain enemies sometimes. And I think by saving that Valara ult that I mentioned may have solved it a little bit. But on round 7, I would always leak something. And when you get A3 Lady A, you don't leak something. But obviously I don't have A3 because that's a pretty big ask. So for now, this is kind of the way I've been doing it. I'll show one more fight, obviously, if you guys are interested. And then I'll end off the video there with the builds. Obviously, the builds are insane, but I mean, it's freaking top 30 arena. Like, obviously, it's gonna have Lady A in it. Like, it would be dumb if it didn't, to be honest. Either way, we're going to win that round because obviously, insta clear here. As you can see, we had different passive procs because of different BP, different timings in general. So we are actually going to struggle in that round. Lady A feels very random, but she is still time-based in her abilities. Right there, we got lucky with that. I've never had these timings before, so this is completely new to me, which is kind of funny. But either way, we should be golden as long as Lady A ends up coming up before I die of old age. Lady A, please. Thank you. It's always been kind of inconsistent with how she works. But once again, we win round 7 because we saved Valara ult. And then we're going to win this one because Ooh, wait, someone leaked. That's not good. No! Okay, well, that happens. A3 Lady A solved that. Maybe tweaking some timing solved that. I definitely need to revisit. But either way, that's kind of how it goes. Now, gear-wise for this, also, let me just quickly show the damage. So, despite having Lady A, Valara is still goated as hell. Look at that damage compared to the rest of my team. Now, Valara does end up on the field a little bit sooner, but her damage continuously will climb, and she just overtakes Lady A. Her damage is insane, and she is absolutely the MVP because she allows this team to even exist in the first place. Gear-wise, though, this is where it gets kind of insane. Here, I have Cataclysm with a quad, one of the best variants in the game. Here, we have a quad with Rage Regen, because I just was struggling with getting her ults up. Here, I have Cataclysm. You don't need an exclusive on this account. It is kind of struggling with Esoteria rings, as you can see. This one's decent, but I just lose too many stats to really justify its existence. And then on the left, Wicked Vengeance with Rage Regen and Rage Regen. You can build them with a quad if you would like. Something like this definitely does work. And if you have something like that for the chestplate, is very good as well, but I don't. Then we get to the exclusive artifact. We have Praetus over here in as much attack as you can muster with Infernal Roar. And something interesting is this tier Twilight has crit rate, because it's just what it has. Those materials are hard to get, which makes it so that it's actually crit cap. So that's kind of cool. Either way, let's go over to Ingrid. Ingrid is in Infernal Roar, as much, you know, attack speed, crit damage, attack as you could get, quad obviously, and as much damage as you can. We're going for around 450 attack speed with this build. A3 is a must if you want to do the best. And then Lady A, this is where the build gets kind of crazy. So weapon-wise, we have this. Chestplate, we have this. No crit rate. But we make up the crit rate on the right. So here we got this piece, we got this piece, and then we got this piece. This was a refine earlier today, sorry, and it was insane. Then we have the exclusive, which is a must. You cannot do it with extra attack. And then the Yao-Chan, Wings of Grace, as much attack as you can. The rest doesn't matter, exclusive artifact. So make use of your gems, and keep in mind that Arena is ultimately PvP content. You have to compete with other people. You gotta equal them. Arena's a mess right now, but those are Arena teams you can use. Whether I like the Lady A Fest or not, I mean, Lady A, Lady A, Lady A, Lady A, Lady A. Either way, this is what you gotta deal with. This is a reality, and I hope these help anyone out there, and best of luck to everyone watching. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Destined signing up.